Welcome back to another episode of I Can't Take You With Me to 4-Day. Passive aggressive communication. I cannot take you with me to 4-Day. Oh, I've been waiting to talk about this. I mean, can we all agree that you probably go, your whole day and have had at least 3 people be passive aggressive towards you? I mean, whether that's someone in your family, whether that's a partner, a husband, a wife, a spouse, a loved one, a child, a sibling, a relative, or then outside of your nucleus of a family. It could be your neighbor. It could be the kid that lives next door. It could be the mailman, the delivery person. Or if you go further outside of your community, it's someone at the store clerk, or a random person in the aisle, or at a stoplight, or while driving down the highway, or ordering food at a restaurant. If you go beyond the public and you go back into it's still public, but it's not my nucleus family, aka work environments or school educational environments, you've got teachers, co-workers, managers, service people who are coming to the school or your workplace. Any of those folks at any time could have given you some passive aggressive communication. And the gag is passive aggressive communication isn't just verbal. No. Passive aggressive communication can be nonverbal as well. It's when you feel that energy directed towards you, you know it, your body knows. And I think a lot of us recognize when that feeling comes in us and we're like, what is wrong with this person? Or, I don't feel like you're saying the whole truth of what you feel, or I don't feel like you're being direct in this moment. And then the physical actions of passive aggressiveness. Yeah, I just think that passive aggressive communication going into 40 and beyond, I just cannot do it. And I'm finding that of all those individuals and spaces and environments and communities that I could be a part of, I'm finding that I experience the most passive aggressive people in environments where you're supposed to be coming together with a group to work on something, to bring something to life, whether it's a project or a large scale event or at work. I tend to be very clear on my boundaries in my personal relationships, but also in the world. So I don't have people who are in my personal life that I would consider family or a loved one or a lover or a partner who is passive aggressive with me. And I feel that those individuals, when they have been, I check that shit right there. What's your problem? If you have something you really want to say that. I mean, think back to any moment where you've had a feeling and said it internally or even said it out loud. If you have something to say, go ahead and say it. I think many of us have had to drop if you got something you really want to say, go ahead and say that. That's when you are clocking someone's passive aggressive fucking communication. As someone going into 40, why would I want to keep experiencing that? I want to be around people who know how to communicate. Whether you want to be able to express that you're angry, that you're sad, that you're frustrated, that you feel insecure, that you feel unsure, that you want to clear up something, but you're not sure how to approach it. Say that shit instead of, nah, I ain't got nothing to say. Don't know why you would want to do that though. Or, oh, so that's what we're doing? Or my favorite, here, and nothing follows. Here, as what? Like a dog? Because I'm a human being just like you, baby. If you have an ask, if you have a tell, if you have a want, use your words. Here. Doesn't work for me. Here's a story for you. I recently went to a newly opened grocery store in my area. And when I got there, I was actually quite surprised at how busy it was because there are tons of other grocery chains in my area. And living in the South, people love to patronize those other chains. But this new one is a little unique-ish. And so I was surprised so many people were there. And so I go in, I'm greeted. It's busy. It's packed. People are getting their groceries. So I put my mask on because I do not like to go places in public without a mask on. And I start to make my way around the grocery store, going down different aisles to different sections, learning the layout, finding the things I want. So at one point, I'm towards like where they keep all of the cool beverages, like glass beverages in individual bottles or cans and stuff. And so I'm standing there and I'm asking one of the, or two of the employees actually, where I could find green tea because I was looking for green tea, but not in packs, already pre-made bottles. And so the two workers, employees at this grocery store, they're using a device to look up green teas that are available. So you know how in grocery stores you have the aisles and they often lead down to the cold section. So we're at the horizontal portion of the cold section and we're kind of catty middle of an aisle, but an end cap. And so there are people walking by with their carts, oh, excuse me, making their way through. We're not blocking the walkway. And then coming down the aisle, I see people in the aisle, but there's like a woman, probably much older than me, and then a younger looking woman with her. So I'll assume a mother and a daughter. And the mother's pushing in a car, and the daughter looks 20-ish, we'll say that. And she's looking at me and looking at my cart and looking at me as though I am blocking her ability to turn around the end cap and head past us. And she just keeps looking instead of moving. And now she's kind of like creating a bottleneck on the aisle behind her. And while the two employees, they were two men, were looking up, what teas they have at this grocery chain, I'm listening to them and I look her dead in her face. I said, you could say, excuse me, if you do need to get through here. There's a path though. And she scrunches her face up and then kind of zooms through the path. Meanwhile, other people had already been going through without an issue. It was like she expected me and these two men who were assisting me to just evaporate so that she could have the entirety of the aisle or the walkway past these cold beverages to swing herself. When nobody else needed that, why would you need that? She actually expected to just stand there with the cart and let her presence communicate her passive aggressiveness, as though that was going to be the cue for me to be like, oh my God, let's move away from these cold section and get out of the way. We were already considerably out of the way so people could pass. It's a grocery store. And that reminded me of like how many times I've been in stores or doctor's offices or the post office or at a restaurant getting ready to be seated or waiting to be seated or at the fucking airport. And you've got people who either will passive aggressively communicate verbally, or in this case, like this woman, they choose to immediately passive aggressively communicate non-verbally, instead of simply saying, hey, I need to get behind you to something, or hey, I'd like to go around you here, or excuse me, are you in this line? Okay, thank you for letting me know. Or excuse me, are you waiting as well? Oh, okay, thank you for letting me know. It's that simple. But I think the choice to want to show up in a passive aggressive way is deeper than just the thing in that moment that you want to show your passive aggressive communication style and behavior too. Like it's something else going on for you that makes you want to be passive aggressive, that leads you to choosing passive aggressiveness as the way you're going to communicate. Another example, working on projects, working on business, working on collaborations creatively. Like work is interwoven in our day-to-day life. Work is a part of human experience, but humans were not made to just work. Let's be clear there, yeah? However, I always find it interesting when you are trying to work on a project and you need to communicate with other collaborators on that project. Why is there always someone who does not know how to communicate? My bandwidth is stretched. I can't do that. Or I didn't agree to do that. We need to revisit this and discuss this. Or I'm not on board with that direction. Can we revisit this and discuss this? I think we should. Instead of doing one of those three things, they huff and puff and say nothing, or they might go the route of trying to sabotage, or they'll make snide little comments like, oh, that's what's happening? Oh, okay, sure, whatever. Or my favorite, which I already told you, here what? Here. If you have something to say, say it. Say, I don't like this design. I think we should approach this different. Or I know I missed XYZ meeting where this was decided upon, but I'm not really sure. I'm bored. Is there still a chance to like change the direction? It's that simple. And I know for me, when I'm caught in those moments where it's like, I don't agree with this, or yeah, I don't think you're listening, or I already shared that information. I actually reflect in real time and I'll say, how can I address this? Because I do feel it needs to be addressed. So I'll say, oh, are you asking me if this can be done? Or are you telling me you want this done? I also try to use that when people want to shift your priorities and your time in what you're doing or what you plan to do last minute. And I think last minute here for me is, out of complete control of anyone's hands, this last minute has to be done. That's understandable. I'm talking about last minute where I've actually had months to do this and I just decided to get it done last week and you're part of this. I'm just going to throw it on your lap because I want you to get it done now. That's not last minute. That's you planned poorly and now you want me to go along with that poor planning and normalize it. I'm going to address that with you. I could easily do passive aggressive communication instead of saying what I'm hearing is that you were going to plan, but this is when the plan has come to fruition. Unfortunately, XYZ is already going to be done. What would you like to see happen with this outside of XYZ? So forth and so on for whatever work project, whether you're creators creating with other creators, you work at a corporation, you work at a startup, you run your own business, but sometimes your family and friend help you out. In whatever frame of work, there's still a chance to communicate that shit. And what I can't stand is when someone wants to be passive aggressive in response to you actually being a direct communicator. That's the next thing I cannot take with me to 40. If I have the free will, emotional intelligence, and have taken the time to reflect on what I need to communicate to you directly, and your response to direct, clear, and assertive communication is to be passive aggressive in response, I don't have time for this. You got it. Do whatever you want because you want me to match your passive aggressiveness in response to you getting direct, clear, and assertive communication. And don't get me started on how people treat Black women who are clear and direct as angry, aggressive, and mean. I can't sit around and use language like, I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't mean to be a bother, and then append what I actually want to say to soften it for you because you don't know how to communicate, because you don't know how to be direct, because you're not used to a confident Black person speaking to you, because you're not used to someone who is self-assured about what they're addressing speaking to you. It's completely different if I'm like, bitch, fuck you, that's dumb as shit. You dummy, why would you bring that to me? You're a fucking idiot. That's aggressive and mean. But me saying to you, unfortunately, we already had this information locked down and decisions were made. So we're not going to be able to make accommodations for this. However, if you do feel it's super important or it has now become very important, we can find another solution that doesn't disrupt the train that's already moving over here for this part. You are going to need to do X, Y, and Z for that to happen. What's wrong with that? Instead, I tend to get, well, I don't see what the big deal is. It can't it just be done? Or, well, fine, whatever. No, whatever. Or, I just feel like I can't even say anything. I feel like I can't even do anything. But babes, you can. You're just struggling with the fact of owning that you don't know how to communicate well and that you're still working on that. I don't know how to communicate that well and I'm still working on it. And I'm going to check in with myself and hopefully with you, if you're willing to go with me on this journey of becoming a better communicator, when I need to be like, yeah, I got to take accountability on that. Or yeah, I can take accountability on that. I was being passive aggressive. I didn't know how to say I was angry. I was upset. I was sad. I was confused. I was frustrated. I was lost. I was feeling insecure. I didn't know how to communicate that. So I used the energy of making it about you and directing it towards you instead. Yeah, I can't do with the passive aggressive energy. I can't carry that on around me while doing the work to show up as a better communicator myself. Like, I think that's what I want people to remember, especially when it comes to passive aggressive communication. How can you expect the person you are trying to have this communication with, have this relationship with, whatever type of relationship it is, to show up as a healthy, mindful, considerate communicator with you when you're constantly dropping passive aggressive energy in the way that you communicate with them? Eventually a person will get weighed down, especially if they continue to stick around for you in this never-ending way of communicating passive aggressively. That's why I set boundaries. And that's why I'm super comfortable saying, I understand things changed for you. They haven't changed for me. If you do want to see this move forward, or you do want to get this done, or it must be done, you are going to have to do it. I am not going to be able to do that for you. And then you get the huffs and puffs on that. What do you mean? I expected you to just drop everything and do what I needed because I just finally figured out what I needed, or I just finally decided to show up and participate. I expected you to do. How aren't you doing it? Because I'm on my healing journey. I'm about to be 40, bitch. And I ain't got time for this shit. You can't come with me. You better hitch a ride with somebody else who's still stuck in that place. You better hitch a ride with somebody who still values passive aggressive communication. You better hitch that ride, because they will see this shit as normal. It's just another motherfucking Tuesday for them. So heading into 40, I think that I will continue to commit to myself that instead of choosing to act out through passive aggressive communication that's verbal or nonverbal, that I'm upset, that I'm angry, that I'm confused, that I feel embarrassed, that I feel flustered, that I feel, I don't know, put on the spot because I didn't get something done on time and I did have the time to do it, or yeah, I didn't read that thing, I should have read that thing, or yeah, you did share that with me, and yeah, you did tell me we were supposed to go here for dinner tonight, and I just, instead of owning the feelings that come up in those moments and verbalizing them directly, assertively and clearly, choosing to be passive aggressive, I can't do it. Chin check yourself. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to keep working on that, I should say. And then for those of you out there, I hope that you can have some more reflective moments and own when you showed up in a passive aggressive way, you communicated in a passive aggressive way, and own when you don't know how to communicate. Say that shit. I'm feeling something and I'm not sure how to communicate it. And I hope that you can give me a chance to figure out how to communicate it a little later, or, maybe if we talk it out right now, I'll figure out how I want to say this or how I can say this, because I'm feeling something. I'm struggling with how to use my words on it. It's okay to say that shit. Y'all forget. Everybody is first time on this planet, unless you're a fucking alien. Then I guess you've probably been here before. Passive aggressive communication can't take you with me to 40. This has been another episode of I Can't Take You With Me to 40. Bye.